All right, everybody. Let's dive into something we all do every single day, making decisions.
Yeah.
We're talking about the psychology behind those choices, big and small. And this is all based on an episode we listened to of Talk with Isaac that got us thinking.
You ever grab a bag of chips when you know you should be reaching for the apple? Or clicked on that tempting ad even though you were almost certain it was too good to be true? We've all been there.
Oh, yeah. It's fascinating how often we're just operating on autopilot, completely unaware of what's actually going on in our minds when we make those choices. It's like there's a mini board meeting going on in our brains.
And according to Isaac, we actually have two different decision-making systems happening up there. He calls them System 1 and System 2.
Yeah, it does sound kind of sci-fi, doesn't it?
Right.
But think of System 1 as the quick-draw gunslinger, shooting from the hip, relying on gut feelings and instincts. You know, it's the reason you might slam on the brakes when you see a squirrel dart into the road. You're not even thinking, you're just reacting.
So it's all about speed and survival. No time for overthinking when you're dodging squirrels.
But what about System 2? Is that where the logic and careful planning comes in?
Exactly. System 2 is the thoughtful strategist, carefully weighing the pros and cons and trying to make the most rational choice. So that's the system that you're engaging when you're comparing different phone plans or meticulously planning a vacation.
Okay, so we've got the impulsive gunslinger and the thoughtful strategist. But I have a feeling these two don't always agree. In fact, Isaac pointed out that our brains tend to be a bit lazy.
Yeah, that's the catch. System 2, while incredibly valuable, requires effort. And our brains, always striving for efficiency, often default to that quick and easy System 1, even when we know we should be thinking things through more carefully.
So it's like ordering takeout when you promise yourself you'd cook a healthy meal.
Exactly.
System 1 wins again.
System 1 for the win.
But it's not just about impulsivity, is it? Isaac also talked about these things called cognitive biases, which sound a bit like mental traps to me.
They are. They're like mental shortcuts that help us process information quickly, but sometimes they can lead us to decisions that aren't really in our best interests.
Okay, can you give me an example? I'm all about avoiding those mental traps.
Sure, let's take confirmation bias, for example. It's that tendency to seek out information that just supports our existing beliefs, even if that information isn't accurate or complete.
Oh, so we're basically cherry-picking the information to fit our worldview.
Yeah.
That sounds like a recipe for trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other biases that might be lurking in our everyday decisions?
Oh, absolutely. Have you ever heard of anchoring bias?
Anchoring bias.
Yeah, it's this idea that that first piece of information we encounter can disproportionately influence our perception of value. You know how those infomercials always start by listing a ridiculously high price for a product and then they dramatically slash it down to something that seems like a steal?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
But even that sale price is probably more than it's actually worth.
Right.
So they're anchoring your perception of value to that initial high price, making the lower price seem like an incredible bargain, even if it's still inflated.
So it's a classic marketing tactic.
Absolutely.
That plays on our cognitive biases. Wow. It's amazing how much is going on beneath the surface when we make decisions. It's like our brains are playing tricks on us.
They are, and we're just getting started. We haven't even talked about loss aversion, which plays on our deep-seated fear of losing something. Think about that old pair of jeans that you never wear anymore, but you just can't seem to get rid of.
Oh, I have a whole drawer of those.
Yeah.
So that's the psychology behind that.
Loss aversion suggests that the pain of losing something often feels more intense than the pleasure of gaining something of equal value.
So even though those jeans are just taking up space,
Right.
the thought of getting rid of them
Yeah.
feels worse than the potential benefits of having a clutter-free closet.
Exactly. And this influences everything from our financial decisions to our personal relationships. You know, we often cling to things or even people, even when it might be in our best interest to move on.
It's incredible how much is happening beneath the surface of our awareness. And it seems like emotions play a big role in all of this, too.
Oh, absolutely. Emotions are powerful. They shape our choices, often in ways that we don't even realize.
You can say that again. I'm pretty sure I bought half my wardrobe on impulse, driven by stress or boredom.
Oh, that's so relatable. We've all been there. Both positive and negative emotions can sway our decisions even when we think we're being totally logical.
So if I'm feeling happy and optimistic, I might be more likely to take a risk or try something new.
Exactly. And conversely, if you're feeling anxious or down, you might just stick to those familiar routines and those comfort zones, even if they're not really serving you.
So our emotions are like these powerful undercurrents that are subtly influencing the direction of our decision-making ship. It's starting to feel like we need a really good navigator to help us steer through these choppy waters.
Well, luckily, there are strategies and insights that can help us become more aware of these influences so we can start making more intentional choices.
Well, all ears. Let's unpack some of those strategies.
Okay.
But first, we need to take a quick break. We'll be right back after this message from our sponsor.
Welcome back. So before the break, we were talking about how emotions can really, throw a wrench in our best laid plans. But it's not just our internal world that's influencing our decisions. Isaac also highlighted the power of our social circles and our surroundings.
Okay, so we're moving from the internal battlefield of our brains to the external forces that can shape our choices. I'm ready for round two.
Think about it. Have you ever walked into a store intending to buy just one thing, and somehow you walk out with a bag full of impulse purchases?
Oh, you mean like every time I step foot into a Target?
Exactly.
Like they have some kind of mind control going
Well,
on?
maybe not mind control, but definitely a really clever understanding of psychology. Stores are meticulously designed to nudge us toward buying more. Have you ever noticed how, the most popular items are always at eye level? Or how those end cap displays are practically begging you to grab something?
And don't even get me started on those delicious smells that they pump through the air. Resistance is futile when it comes to freshly baked cookies.
It's no coincidence. Scent marketing is a powerful tool that taps into our emotions and memories and influences our choices in ways that we might not even realize.
So next time I'm wandering the aisles, I'll need to be extra vigilant. It's like navigating a maze designed to tempt us at every turn.
Exactly. And it's not just about, resisting those tempting displays. Isaac also emphasized how much our social circles influence our decisions.
Right.
It's that monkey see, monkey do phenomenon.
You mean like how we're influenced by our friends and our families and even those influencers that we follow online? I feel like my social media feeds are just a constant stream of must-haves and can't live withouts.
That's exactly what Isaac was talking about. It's called social proof. We look to others for guidance, especially when we're in unfamiliar situations. We just assume that if everybody else is doing it, it must be a good idea.
Right. So if all my friends are raving about a new restaurant or a new product, I'm more likely to try it myself. It's like a built-in recommendation system based on our social networks.
Exactly. And social proof can be incredibly helpful, especially when we're trying to navigate new experiences or make decisions with limited information. But it's also important to be aware of its potential downsides, too.
So blindly following the crowd isn't always the best strategy.
No, it's important to consider the source of those recommendations and make sure they align with your own values and your preferences. Not every trendy product or must-have gadget is going to be a good fit for you.
So social proof, good for navigating unfamiliar territory, but use with caution.
Right.
It's all about finding that balance between trusting the collective wisdom and making choices that feel right for you.
Absolutely. And speaking of influences, we can't forget about the impact of our past experiences. They shape our present and our future decisions in really profound ways.
Oh, you mean like how that time I got food poisoning from a certain restaurant has made me swear off sushi forever? Talk about a lasting impression.
Exactly. Both positive and negative experiences create these mental shortcuts that can either guide us toward good choices or steer us away from potential opportunities.
So it's like our brains are constantly creating this if-then rule book based on what's worked or hasn't worked for us in the past.
Precisely. If a particular brand of coffee has always given you that, perfect morning boost, you're more likely to stick with it. And on the flip side, if a certain type of workout left you feeling sore and discouraged, you might be hesitant to try it again.
It makes sense. But I can also see how past experiences could hold us back from trying new things.
Yeah.
What if I'm missing out on amazing sushi because of one bad experience years ago?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
It's important to recognize that our past experiences, while informative, don't always predict future outcomes. Sometimes we need to challenge those ingrained beliefs and be open to new possibilities.
It's like that saying, you can't judge a book by its cover. Or in this case, you can't judge a sushi roll by one bad experience.
Exactly. Growth often happens outside of our comfort zones. But even when we're venturing into new territory, our brains are still seeking out those familiar shortcuts.
It's a fascinating paradox. We're constantly shaped by our past, but yet we're also driven to explore new horizons. It's like this intricate dance between the familiar and the unknown.
And that brings us to one of the most fundamental dilemmas of decision-making. The tug of war between instant gratification and those elusive long-term rewards.
Ooh, this is a topic that I think we can all relate to. That battle between that tempting treat and those ambitious goals. It's a struggle I face on a daily basis.
Well, we all do. Our brains are wired to seek pleasure and avoid pain, so those immediate rewards can feel incredibly alluring. It's a constant challenge to prioritize our long-term goals over those instant bursts of satisfaction.
It's like that classic, should I hit the snooze button or get up and go for that run dilemma?
Oh, yeah.
That warm bed is calling my name, but I know I'll feel better if I resist the temptation.
It's a perfect example. That snooze button represents that instant gratification. A few more minutes of cozy sleep. But getting up and going for that run, while it's less immediately rewarding, it aligns with your long-term goal of, staying fit and healthy.
So it's all about delaying gratification, resisting that tempting treat today for a healthier tomorrow. Easier said than done, trust me.
It takes practice. But the ability to delay gratification is a skill that can be developed over time, and the payoff is huge. Studies have shown that people who are better at delaying gratification tend to be more successful in a variety of areas of life.
Really? So those kids who could resist eating the marshmallow in that famous Stanford experiment,
Oh, yeah.
they were more likely to achieve their goals later in life.
Exactly. It's a powerful indicator of self-control and the ability to prioritize those long-term goals over those immediate impulses.
Okay, I'm starting to see the connection. If I can resist that tempting online purchase today,
Yeah.
I'll be one step closer to saving for that dream vacation.
Precisely. Or if you can push through that challenging work project, even when you'd rather be doing something more enjoyable, you'll reap the rewards of, career advancement and personal satisfaction.
So it's all about making choices that align with our values and our goals, even when it's hard. But how do we actually do that? Are there any practical strategies we can use to strengthen our decision-making muscles?
Absolutely. And that's exactly what we're going to explore in the final part of our deep dive.
Well, I can't wait. Stay tuned, listeners, because we're about to unlock some powerful insights that can help you make better decisions and live a more fulfilling life. We're back and ready to tackle the million-dollar question. How do we actually make those tough choices that align with our long-term goals? I'm ready for some actionable advice.
Well, the good news is there are strategies that we can use to become more intentional in our decision-making. Remember all those cognitive biases and those emotional triggers we were talking about earlier?
Oh yeah, those sneaky little things that can hijack our best intentions.
Exactly. The first step is just being aware of them. Once you recognize those patterns, you can start to challenge them and make more conscious choices.
So next time I'm about to make a big decision, I should stop and ask myself, am I being swayed by emotions or biases? It's like having a mental checklist to make sure I'm actually the one in the driver's seat.
Exactly. Another helpful strategy is to create clear goals and reminders. Visualize the outcome that you want to achieve and keep it top of mind.
Okay, so like putting a picture of my dream vacation destination on my fridge to remind me why I'm saving money.
Exactly.
Or maybe a photo of myself at my goal weight to motivate me to stick to my healthy eating plan.
Exactly. Those visual reminders can be really powerful. And don't underestimate the power of accountability. Share your goals with a friend or a family member who can support you and help you stay on track.
It's like having a personal cheerleader in your corner. Sometimes we all need that extra boost of encouragement. What about those moments when we're feeling overwhelmed by choices? Any tips for navigating those decision-making crossroads?
Yeah, when you're feeling stuck, sometimes it helps to just simplify the process. Break down those big decisions into smaller, more manageable steps. And don't be afraid to seek out information and advice from trusted sources.
Okay, so instead of trying to tackle everything at once, we should just focus on making one good decision at a time. It's like building a strong foundation brick by brick. But what about those times when we make a decision and it doesn't turn out the way we hoped? It's so easy to get discouraged and just give up on our goals altogether.
It's important to remember that even the most skilled decision makers make mistakes. No one gets it right 100% of the time. The key is to learn from those experiences and just keep moving forward.
So it's not about being perfect, but about being persistent and adaptable. Like a
Exactly.
process of continuous learning and growth.
Absolutely. And don't forget to celebrate those successes along the way. Acknowledge those moments when you made a tough choice that aligned with your values and your goals. Those small victories can really fuel your motivation and keep you moving in the right direction.
This has been such an insightful conversation. It's amazing how much we can learn about ourselves just by paying attention to the way we make decisions.
It's a journey of self-discovery, and it's something that we can continue to, explore and refine throughout our lives.
So what's the key takeaway for our listeners? What's the one thing we want them to remember from this deep dive.
Now that you've had this glimpse into the fascinating world of decision making, I really encourage you to start paying attention to your own thought processes. What factors are influencing your choices? Are you letting those emotions or those biases cloud your judgment? How can you use this knowledge to make more intentional decisions that lead to a more fulfilling life?
It's like we've given you a secret decoder ring for your own brain. Use it wisely, my friends. And remember, even those small everyday choices can have a big impact on the direction of your life. Choose wisely.